Welcome to a high-stakes special report from the Human Error News Network. If you're looking to detect, prevent, and actually correct the systemic failures happening right in your own backyard, you're in the exact right place. Today, we're investigating the lethal intersection of rapid urban development and human error. I want you to just take a second and look up. If you live anywhere near a developing urban center, chances are you walk under a massive 150-foot crane almost every single day, right? And you just assume the experts double-checks the bolts. You assume the structural engineers actually did the math. But what if they didn't? What if the absolute only thing standing between you and 100 tons of crashing steel is a single, completely ignored warning? Hold on to that thought, because the reality of what's hanging over your head right now is way more terrifying than you think. Look, we all live under this exact same steel canopy, just kind of hoping for the best. But let's look at the actual timeline here. In February, a metro slab crashes in Malund, tragically killing one person. April hits, and a rig falls in Sion Panvel, taking the life of a police constable. May, a gantry crane platform collapses in Beyonder. And then in July, a 120-foot crane topples over in Mirror Road. This isn't just a string of isolated bad luck, it's a terrifying systemic pattern of human error that we are all navigating together.
Part 1. Anatomy of a System Failure.
Okay, let's dive into this by tearing apart our first major case study from July 16th in Mirror Road. I've been reviewing the site reports, the police statements, the timelines, and the mechanics of this collapse are absolutely chilling. So, around 8:30 p.m., an operational crane stationed on the 11th floor of a parking tower just suddenly gave way. It crashed straight down onto the neighboring society, crushing vehicles and instantly killing 21-year-old Muzammil Kokar, who was literally just sitting near the society temple. And here's a detail that really stops you in your tracks. That temple is usually packed for an evening prayer meet. The only reason dozens of other lives weren't lost is because worshippers just happened to be away at a religious yatra that night. But here is the crucial takeaway. This was not some unpredictable freak accident. Residents of the nearby society had actually warned the contractor, both orally and in writing, that a 360-degree revolving crane operating in this crammed residential area was a fatal threat. I mean, they even reported stones falling on their vehicles beforehand. The shocking truth? Proactive citizens spotted the human error way before it turned lethal, and they were blatantly ignored. Part 2. The Forensics of Failure. To understand how we actually stop this, we have to look at the hard forensics. Because human error doesn't always look like an ignored email, sometimes it looks like bad math and cheap hardware. Let's look at another fatal incident just 2 months prior. On May 2nd, at a coastal road casting yard in Beyonder, a totally routine inspection turned deadly. 2 workers were 35 feet up in the air assembling this massive gantry crane, when suddenly the platform they were standing on just collapsed. And here's the detail that really hits hard. Both men were actually wearing their safety belts. But because the structural platform itself failed, those belts couldn't save them from the 35-foot drop. After the crash, municipal authorities brought in a technological institute for a safety audit, and their findings? They explicitly contrast the mechanical errors with what the necessary corrections should have been, painting a very clear picture of negligence. The crane was held together by weaker M10 bolts, and the maintenance railings were way too low. The required fix? They needed stronger M12 bolts and to raise the railings to 6 feet secured with cables. We're talking about just a few millimeters of steel thickness and a couple extra feet of railing. That tiny margin of human oversight is exactly what translates into structural doom. Part 3. The Blame Game Chain. And hey, if you're finding these investigations critical to your understanding of urban safety, make sure you're subscribed to the Human Error News Network so you never miss a report. So, what actually happens after the dust settles and these forensic reports are filed? Well, a legal thriller unfolds when authorities try to pinpoint exactly who is responsible. Look at how this chain of legal accountability gets constructed. In the Mirror Road crash, police registered a formal criminal report, an FIR, for causing death by negligence. But you really need to pay close attention to who is actually on that list. You've got the contractor, the subcontractors, the safety engineers, and the crane operator. But who is conspicuously missing? The developer and the top executives. The police just cited a communication gap between the operator and the ground crew. So predictably, accountability flows straight downward, targeting the low-level operators while allegedly shielding the high-level executives who are the ones actually dictating the budgets, the timelines, and the very environment where these errors happen. Which brings us to a truly agonizing reality. This quote here belongs to Abdul Aziz Kokar, Muzamil's father. He's a professional Bollywood stuntman.
This is a man who literally spent his entire life choreographing controlled danger, only to lose his son to uncontrolled negligence. Refusing to be silenced, he sat on an indefinite hunger strike right outside the local police station, holding a placard for his boy. His crusade is demanding top-down accountability. As he so powerfully puts it, when the system ignores repeated warnings and refuses to deliver justice, it completely ceases to be an accident.
Part 4. The price of a life. This whole situation forces us to ask a really uncomfortable question. We've seen the mechanical cost of human error, and obviously the emotional toll. But what is the actual financial cost? What is a human life really worth when the system fails? Well, this table lays it out in cold, hard numbers. The government recently revised welfare payouts for registered construction workers. In the event of an accidental death on site, the family gets 6.5 lakh rupees. That's hundreds of thousands of rupees, but it's roughly equivalent to about 8,000 US dollars. For permanent disability, it's a one-time assistance of just 2 lakh rupees. That is the baseline economic value the policy places on the human beings physically building our skylines. But then you have to contrast that individual payout with this number right here. 3 crore rupees. That is $30 million. This is the massive penalty the municipality slapped on the contractor after the Bayandar crash. Just notice the massive disparity here. The individual human cost is calculated in lakhs, thousands, while the systemic municipal penalty is calculated in crores, tens of millions. It totally reveals the true financial stakes of negligence for these corporations. That 3 crore penalty, it seems like it's the only language the system truly understands. Part 5. Blueprint for zero error. So where do we actually go from here? How do you navigate a world built by fallible systems? Because we absolutely cannot just accept falling cranes as a normal reality of urban life. Let's shift into some collaborative problem solving. Here is an actionable toolkit we can derive directly from these tragic case studies to detect, prevent, and correct human error in your own community. Step 1. We need to enforce mandatory third-party safety audits before a single machine is even turned on at a site. Step 2. Mandate immediate, halting action the exact second a citizen or society raises a red flag. No more ignored letters. If the community sees a threat, the work stops until it is verified. And Step 3. Establish top-down legal accountability. If a site fails, the executives who run it must be held just as responsible in the formal police reports as the operator pulling the levers. Which leaves you with this final, genuinely jarring thought. If our current system is designed to only punish the bottom rung of the ladder, the subcontractors and the operators, while totally shielding the architects of the project, who is truly accountable for the 150-foot crane hovering over your home tonight? You've been watching a special report from the Human Error News Network. If you want to stay informed on the systems shaping our world, make sure to follow our reports. Keep your eyes open, look up, and seriously, question everything around you.